So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for joining us to another Camcast. This one is about the newest movie sensation, The Suicide Squad.
Yes.
It's written and directed by a gentleman by the name of James Gunn, who at this point now is synonymous with bonkers, high concept, gory, fun movies that are a delight to see in the theater. It stars, I don't know if you've heard of her, Margot Robbie, in her third outing as Harley Quinn. And in my opinion, probably the best version of Harley Quinn that I've seen so far.
Easily the best one.
Even down to the visuals, I like how they got rid of a lot of the shitty tattoos that they had.
Yeah, that rotted one that was on her face, that's gone. I mean, she had the look. Like James Gunn said, he based the look of her at the beginning of the movie off of the Arkham games.
And that makes perfect sense because I was like, oh, I actually kind of felt more like Injustice.
Yeah,
she looked great. They kept the red and blue motif or red and black motif. They kept like the checkered pattern. It looked to me, and I said this in the theater, like they took the New 52 and that old like Paul Dini first version and just kind of went like this.
Yeah.
And that was it. And there was next to no like blatant over the top sex appeal with Harley Quinn's character, which I like because I've never felt like Harley Quinn's been an overtly sexual character up until New 52, where they tried to make her into Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yes, she was a sexual character because obviously her and Joker were getting it on.
Yep.
And obviously there's enough talk in the comic books that her and Poison Ivy definitely got it on. But again, it wasn't just like she wasn't wearing like short shorts and low cut tops and stuff like that. You're just like, really? Now you're doing this? But anyway, we've got Idris Elba as Robert Dubois / Bloodsport. And I actually, this is my note here. I liked his character more than I liked Deadshot. Even though there was a lot of similarities between him, they're almost exactly the same.
Almost the same. They both have daughters.
Yeah. One of the differences is that like Bloodsport has almost always been white in the comic books.
Yeah.
Whereas they race swapped him, which was fine. I didn't care. I thought Will Smith did a really good job with the character. Plus, when he was in his full Deadshot suit, that looked fucking awesome.
Yep.
It was disappointing we didn't get to see more of it, but it was awesome.
So awesome.
Bloodsport, however, has always been black or African American, whatever term you want to use, person of color. I'm not trying to offend. I just don't know the terms to use. But his suit looked awesome, and he used that helmet a lot. Like
the helmet was sick.
Are you kidding me?
Like the
friggin'
dome, and then like the skull jaw, and then just.
What was it? He reminded me of Judge Death.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like,
Judge
God,
Death.
it's so fucking cool, and his like almost infinite arsenal that looked amazing. His suit looked awesome. He was one of the standouts for me, which is weird to say because it's Idris Elba. I mean, he was awesome in The Gunslinger, and that movie was not awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome in everything.
We've got John Cena, who plays Christopher Smith / Peacemaker, another standout in this movie.
Yep.
Like, I knew he was going to be a standout because obviously they greenlit a TV show for him. Okay.
Yeah, before the movie was even.
But yeah, before that, so I knew he was going to be a standout.
Yeah.
And it was funny, and I was saying this to Michelle, and I thought, like, because most of the movies that he's been in, he's really not playing anything too far from what you've seen John Cena do in wrestling, right?
Yeah.
He might just be like more stern and more angrier, but that's about it. This one, when we get to the scene later on, where he's trying to, there's going to be fat fucking spoilers, but I'm going to try to ease into them. Well, when he's trying to prevent the USB drive from getting out, and he's forced to do something, you know he doesn't want to do this. You know for a fact he doesn't want to do this. He does it because he has to, because it's his mission, because he will protect peace at all costs. but it hurts him to do this. And I thought that was very impressive to see that and to see him be able to emote like that, where he's basically like, his face is like, I don't want to do this. And he's saying like, don't make me do this. Yeah. So that was huge. Joel Kinnaman, another standout, but then again, when has he ever been bad?
I've never been a huge fan of Joel Kinnaman. Like, I've always thought he's a good actor, but not to the point where I'm a fan or anything. He blew me away in that.
Oh, I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of Joel Kinnaman.
You watched his, what was the TV show that? The Killing? Is that what it was?
The Killing?
Yeah.
The only reason why I didn't get through Altered Carbon was because it's not that good. And I wanted to like it.
I really wanted to like that.
It was so not good for me that I haven't even checked out season 2 with Anthony Mackie, who I also love. And I'm just like, I don't think I can.
Yeah. No.
Then we've got this one here. I don't know. You might have heard of this guy, Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Playing Nanui, King Shark, who was awesome. Like, this was so awesome. I mean, even if he just did regular Sylvester Stallone and had like full dialogue, I still would have loved King Shark. But the fact that he was like, num nums, friends, I was like, this is too good. Like, it was like Groot, but more so than Groot. So it was in the same vein.
Yeah.
But I also like that they changed the design of King Shark from a hammerhead to a great white, simply because logistically, your eyes are out this way. So he's like, it just didn't make any sense for me to do that.
Yeah.
We've got Viola Davis returning as Amanda Waller. And she's one of those ones that, like, it's hard for me to picture anyone else being Amanda Waller up until I watched Loki. And I think that, what was it? Agent 35 or whatever the name was.
Yeah.
She would be perfect at Amanda Waller, because Amanda Waller in the comic books has always been big, like a big girl, like Kingpin if it was blackface and a wig. Which is a horrible description, but that's really what she was.
Michael Clark Duncan in a wig.
I could have said that. Because that is blackface Kingpin.
That is my
anyway. We're getting shut down. Then we've got Jai Courtney as George Digger Harkness as Captain Boomerang, the fourth person now actually to return from the much maligned Suicide Squad. And rightfully so maligned. Rightfully so. Peter Capaldi as Gaius Greaves, the Thinker. David Das Malkin, Abner Krill, the Polka Dot Man. So I got to tell you, Polka Dot Man is on my list of dislikes.
Interesting.
And so is Randall Flagg, or not Randall Flagg. So is Rick Flagg. Those two right now are on my list of dislikes.
Very interesting.
Yes. Even though I'm a huge fan of the Das Malkin, when I've seen him ever since The Dark Knight, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so those are two of the dislikes. Okay. We've got Daniela Melchior as Cleo Cazo, Ratcatcher 2. They should have just called her Ratcatcher. But she was one of my favorite characters too, because she's definitely, you know what I liked is they did that spin on the father issues where she loved her father so much, and her father was such a good person to her that even though she was a villain, she's still a good person. So I was like, that's refreshing to see that. She isn't just this bad piece of shit.
Yeah.
Then this is where it gets a little dicey here. This is a long cast list. This is
a huge cast.
Actually, there was a couple of people I cut just because, but I got most of them. So we've got Michael Rooker as doesn't matter who he is. He's in a James Gunn movie. That's it. But all jokes aside, it's Brian Derlin as Savant. We got Pete Davidson as Dick Hertz, Blackguard.
Yep.
Nathan Fillion as Corey Pitzner, the detachable kid.
TDK.
But I do like the build up to that was TDK, and he's just like, yes, it's just TDK. That's my name, TDK.
Your name is just letters? Well, all names are letters.
All names are letters. It's like, yeah, well, fuck, you got me.
The whole banter in the beginning flight part was so funny? Like Weasel? What is this thing? Is this a dog?
Is that a werewolf?
You put me beside a werewolf?
Put me beside a fucking werewolf? Get me away from this fucking thing. I don't want to get eaten by a fucking werewolf. So.
Oh, it's good.
Speaking of Weasel, Sean Gunn plays Weasel, but he also plays Calendar Man. We've got Flula Borg is Gunter Braun, Javelin. Mei Ling Ning as Mongal, which surprised the hell out of me that they pulled out a Mongol reference. Mm-hmm. Steve Agee as John Economos, the Warden of Bel Rev, as well as the motion capture for King Shark.
Okay.
Jennifer Holland is Amelia Harcourt. The rest of these people are, the next two are just the other people in the office with Amanda Waller. And then Tanash Kajazi, I apologize for the mispronunciation of your name because I know I butchered it. Flo Crawley. Alice Braga is Saul Soraya, the revolution leader. Taiki Watiti is Ratcatcher 1. Juan Diego Bato is Silvia Luna. He's the first dictator. That's a bit of a spoiler. Then we've got Joaquin Cosio, the second dictator. Mm-hmm. And rightfully so, because he looks like he's a dictator. He's done so much. Like, he's done so much in Mexican cinema. It's crazy. I went to his Wikipedia page, and it's just... Then it's like, all the way down, Quantum of Solace. Suicide Squad. I was like, I can't, like, he just acts. Okay. All right. We're rounding it out. We've got Storm Reed, which is an awesome name to have, as Taya, Bloodsport's daughter. We even have an appearance of John Ostrander, who created the Suicide Squad. He played Dr. Fitzgibbon. And finally, we've got another actress who has a cameo role, and I knew it. I saw her in the nightclub, and I almost said it out loud. I was like, oh, that's Mantis. But I was like, no, Mantis wouldn't be in the fucking movie. Well, Han Clementieff is, in fact, in the movie. He's a nightclub dancer. And if I would have said that out loud that night, we would have been like, oh, you're right. And it made me mad because he actually, James Gunn outed it. He's like, that is, in fact, her. No one got it.
And
no one guessed it.
About it.
No one talked about it, but it was, in fact, her. And I was so mad because I could have said it and you would have been like, well, Chris was talking about it.
Yep.
You could have rung up your buddy James Gunn and said, hey, my buddy here. He said it. But then again, I was the same guy that saw Mysterio the first time around when it's just that capture. Because I said that to Michelle. I was like, oh, that's him. And she's like, well, I missed it. I'm like, yeah, you did. And I loved that. Oh, yes. And Captain Boomerang is my third dislike. So here it is. Here's my dislikes. In order. The death of Captain Boomerang. I never thought that I would say that I would hate the fact that Jai Courtney was killed off in a movie. Never mind in the first 5 minutes of the fucking movie. He was killed off immediately.
Along with 50% of the cast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that blew me away, especially because like Captain Boomerang in Suicide Squad, the first one, was one of the reasons why I liked the movie.
Yeah.
I was floored because I was like, this is Jai Courtney. Can't fucking act at all. He's garbage. And it turns out he's actually just been in garbage, shitty roles.
Yeah.
Aside from like Vikings or Suicide Squad, he's just been like in henchman roles or, you know, shitty reboot movies where you're like, you're not John Connor, you know, you're not John McClane Jr. Like, don't try and tell me this shit. You were good in Reacher, but you played a bad guy. So whatever. So then I see him in Suicide Squad and I went, oh my God, I like this. I like this version of Jai Courtney. Let's see more of this. I kill him off. Fuck this shit. That's a minus in my column.
Yep.
What about you? What's your dislike? Do you have any?
They killed him brutally. Ooh, dislikes?
Hold on. For the record, everyone that died in the opening of that movie all died horribly.
Oh, yeah.
The worst one was Mongal. Hers was horrible. They burned her alive. And they showed it too. Oh. Yeah. Pete Gunn's death was pretty rough too.
Yeah, it was rough.
Front of his face
coming right away. I saw it right away. Like it was either them or the bad guys killing him. Like one of the two.
Yeah, there was no way he was living. So
Savant's.
But anyway,
Savant's kind of bugged me a little bit. How he just turned around and swam and then got blown up. Like I wanted to see more from Savant.
I didn't. I was okay with it. But okay, that's fine. That's your dislike. Here's my second dislike. Flag's death. They fucking killed Flag. God damn it. And I referenced it earlier because like we have Peacemaker. He's gonna kill Flag to make sure that Flag doesn't take the USB drive that shows the United States government was behind Starro. Yes, Starro the Conqueror was in this movie if you haven't seen a full-on trailer by now.
Yeah.
But they were behind it. They were behind the weaponization of it, and they trying to make it so that they could use him to have an army of slaves. Peacemaker couldn't let that out because Waller was like, you can't let that come out. And that was the whole purpose of the mission too, was to destroy that.
Yeah.
That was it. After that, she didn't give a fuck. They said the United States government didn't give a fuck. They can burn in hell for all they care. We don't care. Let's get out. So you got Flag dying. And this is the part that got me. And this is what made me think, okay, John Cena can act. He's definitely been working on it because I felt bad for him because he's killing somebody he looked up to. He didn't want to kill him. You know, he didn't want to kill him. He said it. He said, I have to do this.
Yeah.
But he told you at the beginning of the movie, I don't care who I have to kill, man, woman, child. I'll do whatever I can to make to keep peace or something along those lines. And right away, he tells you, I'm going to fuck shit up if I have to. Yeah. And he does. And it's heartbreaking because you really did not want to. I did not want to dislike Peacemaker.
No, me neither. And I was all like, now I got that whole Abby thing. You know how Abby in Last of Us killed Joel? Now I got that thing where like I'm gonna watch the Peacemaker series of like, you killed Rick.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough. But I have a feeling I'm ultimately gonna like the series because
I think I think it's gonna be great. But
Gunn wrote it and directed most of the episodes.
Yeah. That fight was fucking epic though. The two of them going.
It was so good. It was so good.
I read an interview with Joel Kinnaman, and he said they choreographed that, and John Cena taught him everything. They choreographed that for 2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
And that shot in the helmet. Oh man, like that was a beautiful fight. So when Rick died, I was pretty bummed about it. But I mean, like, shit, to get to that point, it was
exactly.
Get that great line, Peacemaker. What a joke!
I know. You're like,
and that hit Peacemaker. You could really see it on his face.
Exactly.
Those words.
So that one was tough.
Yeah.
The worst one of all for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, hold on. Do you have anything else?
Well, just to touch on that, I dislike for me is that Rick ultimately died for nothing because they use his death later on to just get away from Waller instead. Yeah.
It's not that it wasn't for nothing, but it wasn't for what it should have been.
No. And yeah. You know what? It really tough. Fucking
it's
hurt
tough
me.
When Harley's like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
And he's like, I know, but I mean, we're free now. So
yeah, because it was really cute, the relationship between Rick and Harley in this. Like when they're walking towards Starro, like where Starro is, and they look at each other in the rain and they smile at each other and everything. I was like, I really love this. Really.
Well, and I liked it too because and I read somewhere that Kanamen looked at this movie as a blank slate for Flag. So he could be a little bit more goofy. He could be a little bit more different, you know.
Yeah.
And hell, he could have a little bit more of a kinship with Harley Quinn, which makes sense because they would have gone on several missions together, right? Okay, so here's the last one.
All right.
And I am floored by this, and I'm sure you will be too. But I gave it away at the beginning. It's Polka Dot Man's death.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that one hurt.
James Gunn took one of the lamest characters in comic book histories, and he has stated he specifically picked one of the lamest characters, okay? Because he wanted to make you like him. He wanted to make you care about him so that he could kill him and it would gut you. Well, kudos, James Gunn, because yes, it gutted me. I was not seeing that happen. I was so pumped when we got to see him go from like weirdo introvert with disgustingly weird powers.
Yeah.
To being a little bit more confident, a little bit more, part of the group with still weirdly gross powers. And then ultimately being like, I'm a superhero, and then having that conversation with, was it Ted? Where they're like, who's Ted? He's like, Ted, he was my friend.
Yeah, what was that guy's name? I think it was
Milton. It was Milton.
Milton.
It was Milton.
He's like, that's right. What? Milton was with us the whole time? Milton's been with us the whole time.
But even later when he's just like, well, Milton was my friend. Like, what do you mean he was your friend? Like, we just barely got to, I talked to him and he was my friend. And it's like, man, like all these little things that they did with him that built him up. And I thought, oh man, like we could see more of this. And then Starro steps on him. And you're not coming back from that.
No. Apparently, the original script, it was Ratcatcher 2 that got squashed.
I'm glad that they killed Polka Dot Man.
And James said, you know what? She's too sweet. She's the heart of the movie. I can't do that.
I actually probably would have taken a full star away from the movie just for her death.
I would have been legit mad if she died, especially in that fashion. Because now all I want after this is either an HBO series or a movie. I just want King Shark and Ratcatcher 2 to have their own movie together. Or something.
You know what? I want to see
two of them. Just the two of them.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
God.
So other than that, that's it. That's all I have for not liking this movie. These are dislikes. I would say, all told, their deaths together, they're making it a 4.5 out of 5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Almost a 4 out of 5. But the movie overall is just so good. It's so good that it takes like a literally simple, no frills plot. You don't have to think about the plot so much though that you almost forget the plot is even happening because all this stuff is going on. The character work, the camaraderie, the gonzo special effects, the set pieces and everything largely distract you from what is a basic go here, get this, get out.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's like John Wick, where it's like it's a standard revenge story, but they do it in such a way that by the end of the movie, you're like, it's fucking awesome. And if anyone told you it's a shitty story, you'd be like, no, it's not. It's fucking great. And if they actually broke it down and said, yeah, but the plot is literally just this, you'd go, yeah, it is. But, I don't want to talk to you anymore because this movie's fucking awesome. Yeah. I want to talk to someone else that likes this movie.
And then
I'll call you up. I'll call you up and I'll go, hey, man, you want to talk about John Wick again? That movie's awesome. Yeah, exactly.
But anyway. It's 100% true. 100% true. You could be like, hey, here's 50 movies with the same plot.
Right. And but by the end of that conversation, they're going to go, and this is the order from best to worst. It's like, it's even like the Bourne Identity. The Bourne Identity's plot is essentially every spy thriller ever. You've got your spy. All of a sudden, the spy organization wants to kill him. The only flip side is he's got the amnesia. That's the only flip side. So you start to find out stuff about him as he finds it out. That's it. Other than that, it's like everything else. Erased was with Aaron Eckhart. That's a Jason Bourne ripoff. Traitor, Jason Bourne ripoff. Like constant ripoffs. But
But that's just the formula.
Exactly. It's a formula. And the best movies are the ones that take that formula and go, okay, forget about it because this is the movie. And then you go, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
The First Taken versus every other, Jerry action film. That's what it was. Jerry action film. Did you watch The Gunman? I didn't, but I could tell you. I know the plot.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's one of the best things about this movie is that the plot is so generic, but you don't even think about it. Whereas in Suicide Squad, the first one, it's the exact same plot.
Yeah. It is.
And it gets shit on because the
plot.
The exact method of getting from point A to point B is messier. It's not as good. I mean, I think the only movie that I really thoroughly enjoyed start to finish from David Ayer was Fury. And I'm trying to think of anything else.
Fury was great. No, he had one near the beginning.
This is by no means a knock on David Ayer. It really isn't, even though it sounds like it is. But
David Ayer is a great filmmaker. He really is. It's just he also wrote the Suicide Squad, and I felt like James Gunn had a better idea of who the characters are.
And also what he wanted from the movie.
Yeah. And I think, ultimately, too, like David Ayer was a guy that was hired, wrote a movie, directed a movie, and it's a good movie. It's just not great. James Gunn's a guy that grew up on Suicide Squad. He loves the Suicide Squad. That's
the other thing too. Like, so you can tell the difference between.
Like, you could tell the passion in this when he made it.
Yeah, you could tell the difference between somebody who read a couple of books.
Yeah.
Whereas a guy that grew up reading books, to a degree, like I will give a pass to like Christopher Nolan, for instance. Wasn't a huge Batman fan. Mm-hmm. He was familiar with the character, like everybody was. I think he said he watched the movies or whatever. He was familiar enough, but he read enough of the books to be able to distill a phenomenal Batman throughout 3 movies.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like you need to be a comic book fan, but it certainly helps. And in a movie like this,
is it's a little different than Batman, though, right? I mean, like, who the fuck knows what Pokemon or Polka Dot Man's all about? And
I'll tell you right now, I knew exactly who he was.
You would.
I knew who he was just because of his name and his appearance, but I didn't know anything about his character. Okay. Yeah. I don't think I even was aware that there was a Ratcatcher 2. Mm-hmm. Okay. But everyone else, Javelin was one that I wasn't aware of. Weasel was created for this movie. Some of these, like Bloodsport, I wasn't familiar with. A lot of the deep cut DC characters, which is 90% of this movie, wasn't really aware. But Thinker, Starro, King Shark, all the way through. Savant, I was familiar with, but I wasn't.
I was familiar with Savant because I read that Birds of Prey run. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's how I was familiar with him too. Yeah. But so overall, though, it's just it helps. It helps when you at least are familiar enough with the characters.
Absolutely.
But he had a clear-cut vision, and like we said, in my Tim Drake episode, which is totally separate from today, I had said that like they also Warner Brothers gave him money and carte blanche.
Yeah.
David Ayer got money, but he didn't get carte blanche. Now, I don't necessarily think the budget for the Suicide Squad should have been as high as it was. But I mean, again, it's hard to argue with the results because that's money well spent.
Oh, I mean,
that movie looked incredible. Starro looked incredible.
I spent every time King Shark was on the screen, I was blown away by the detail on him. Like you could see every little scale on his face.
King Shark visually was incredible.
Yeah.
I read that he was intentionally given a dad bod to sort of hammer home the whole shark-like aspect. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. I loved that he wasn't like this ginormous steroid freak with a shark head.
Yeah. I love the way he looked, the chubby belly. I mean,
it was great.
Yeah.
It was absolutely great. It was awesome.
Obviously, this movie's Groot. I mean,
he's totally.
Yeah.
But he was awesome. He was so good. Now the question is like, what movie's better? Is it the Suicide Squad or is it Guardians of the Galaxy? It's hard to compare. You can't really compare.
That's really hard too, right? Because like Guardians, he had to connect it to the rest of the MCU, right? So like the Thanos.
Okay, then how about just both sequels? So the Suicide Squad, which is technically a sequel, more of a reboot than anything, but technically a sequel, and Guardians 2.
I gotta give it, as a James Gunn fan, I'm giving it to the Suicide Squad because that's James Gunn. He got to make a Troma movie with $185 million.
And remember how we were talking about how, like, in the credits, there was the Toxic Crusader?
Yes. Yeah.
Part of the reason for that was the head Troma guy who trained James Gunn had a cameo in the movie.
Oh, did he? So it wasn't a Toxic Avenger appeared somewhere?
Oh. Not that I've seen but I did read that it was his mentor had a role in the movie.
Lloyd Kaufman, right? Is that his name? Yeah.
And I think Lloyd Kaufman has had a part in most of his movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're still really good friends, and I mean, like,
he owes his career to Lloyd Kaufman.
He's fucking proud of James too. I mean, you could tell, like, when he was fired from Disney, like right away, Lloyd Kaufman was on social media, like right away.
And yeah, you're right. Like, it is hard to compare. I'm being a bit of a facetious because really, you can't compare the two. You can compare elements, but you can't compare the two because this is a James Gunn movie. Like, I watched this. And I'm not a huge James Gunn fan like you, but I'm familiar enough with his work that I'm like, oh yeah. Like, the second that you saw fucking Pete Davidson's face get caved in and you've seen it, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. It's a James Gunn movie. It's not just rated R. It's not just rated R. It's a James Gunn movie. That's totally different ballgame.
Funny thing is, people are watching this going, oh, it's the guy that made the Guardians movies. They don't know that Slither and Super and fucking Dawn of the Dead and Romeo and Juliet and all that came beforehand. Oh, it's the Guardians guy. No, Guardians was James Gunn doing his quirky thing, but on Marvel's leash, on the Disney.
Yeah, if you want to be a douche about it, you could say Guardians is James Gunn selling out. Yeah,
this is him just going, like, this is James Gunn, like, gore galore.
To be fair, if let's say, you know what, if you want to be a dick about it, he did. He sold out. But look what he got to make. So maybe, he sold out for Guardians. And then Guardians 2 brought him up here. But those two movies brought him to the Suicide Squad.
Yep.
And it's awesome. Like, it is just awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's so
like,
great.
It's even hard to really pinpoint things separately because, like you talk about the fight sequence with the Peacemaker and Flag, and it's incredible, not just because of the cinematography of the fight or the fight choreography, but the cinematography around the fight choreography. So like you said, the shot in the helmet, you're like, what the fuck?
I know.
Like, this is visionary work where you're thinking, because like I'm thinking, like, I could direct and I could do, but then I see shots like that and I'm like, no, like I could direct the traitor or the gunman to other people's Taken, like Luc Besson's The Professional. Like, where I'm like, nah. Scraping the barrel while you guys are fucking creating the barrel.
Fuck, like Kinaman said, they had that whole thing like planned out, that whole fight, but there was markers on the floor and they had to count in their head when to go to that part in order to capture the whole thing in the helmet in one shot. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, like, just, oh, fuck. Yeah. I mean, like, I did like how, even though we killed off like 90% of the cast in the first 10 minutes of the movie, that was a great way to acknowledge that this is still within the DCEU, but we're going in a completely separate direction. Like, even the introduction for Bloodsport is very similar to the introduction of Deadshot. Like, it's very close. But and you know what, like, a lot of Superman fans are just like, oh, he shot him with a kryptonite bullet and put him in a hospital. Like, fuck that shit. And I'm like, no, that makes perfect sense. A kryptonite bullet is going to put Superman in the hospital. Yeah. Nobody shits bricks when he's like when Deadshot's going toe to toe with Batman.
Yeah.
Nobody says anything because those two are largely linked, right? Yep. But also Batman almost always beats him. That's the thing. I'm like, yeah, he put him in the hospital. He didn't kill Superman. He didn't beat Superman. He took him out for a bit. He doesn't have a kryptonite bullet. He's not doing very well against Superman. So shut the fuck up. Stop complaining. But even still, even having almost exactly identical visuals to Deadshot, Bloodsport was amazing. He was so good.
This was originally written for Will Smith, The Return, and then
it had to have been. There's no way it wasn't.
So I mean, how perfect is it to go? Okay, well, let's make a Bloodsport because it pretty much all clicks still.
And it does, and I actually almost think it works better.
Yeah, I do too. I thought it was great. In fact, not once, and I love Will Smith, and I thought he did a great job as Deadshot, but not once in this movie did I go, I wish Will Smith was in this.
Yep, exactly.
Whereas I did that in Independence Day too.
Right.
I wish Will Smith was in it.
Yeah, it's great to meet his son and all, and show a picture of him.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you couldn't get Will Smith to just show up in the first scene of the movie and then die.
Yeah.
And then have that be the impetus as to why his son wants to kill the aliens.
You guys waited 20 years to shoot this movie. You can't push it another 4 months to get him in.
And it's Will fucking Smith.
It's Will Smith.
And you know what's funny? Like years ago when we talked about Resurgence, and I was like, whatever. He didn't want to do this, that, and the other thing. Now I'm like, you should have just waited. You would have made more money by having Will Smith in the movie.
Yep.
So yeah, okay, maybe you might have hurt your bottom dollar by waiting 4 months. But first of all, it was dumb that you guys thought this was going to be $1 billion franchise starter. That was stupid. And second of all, they didn't cast Will Smith. They didn't do whatever they could to get him.
Yeah.
And they could have said, look, we understand you have shooting commitments. We just need you to come in and we'll kill you off. You'll get a hero's death. Your son will take up the mantle, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go.
There you go.
I'm pretty sure he would have said yes.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But anyway, so getting back to this, so we've got excellent cinematography. We've got excellent fight choreography. There's not one bad fight in this movie.
No.
Not one bad fight in this movie. Here's another thing that movie's so cool about. They actually make you not hate rats as much as you should. The scene where they were all over the place was still disgusting. It gave me the creeps.
Yeah, yeah.
But Sebastian, I want Sebastian. I want to have Sebastian hang out.
Sebastian was a real mouse or a real rat.
I know.
I thought that was so awesome. I love how every character in this movie connected on different levels. Like the father-daughter relationship between Bloodsport and Ratcatcher 2.
Which is ironic considering he was telling his real daughter to fuck off, leave the fuck alone.
He took her right under his wing, and like he trusted her at the end with all those rats, even though he was scared shitless of them.
But she also took him under her wing.
Absolutely.
Because she didn't have that.
Literally, she held on to him while bringing
that was awesome too. Like when he's finally like letting them crawl all over them, and it was just sheer trust. I was like,
how wicked was that? How awesome was it that? I mean, Harley kind of helped, but it was Ratcatcher 2 that really took out Starro.
It was crazy.
Like that was epic. Like when it's going all over Starro, I was just like, this is.
It was awesome. But I like how it led to the called it spear into the fucking eye by Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
called that long before.
There when she was in the eye at a moment where I was like, are they actually going to kill Harley?
I thought they might, and then I was like, no, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to do it.
Like,
although there's a good chance that this will be her last outing as Harley Quinn based on the box office, the unfortunate box office of this movie.
Yeah.
Soundtrack, incredible.
Oh, man.
This was a better soundtrack than any of the Guardians movies, and I loved both the soundtracks of the Guardians movies.
Well, Guardians movies were kind of pigeonholed in the decade, right? That he had the mixtapes from, whereas this pick music from anywhere.
Yeah, but still, like this was just leaps and bounds better.
Yeah, and the score was incredible.
Their own theme song was awesome.
All the characters had themes, like everything was so good about the music in this. But I was amazed. Like right away, I went home and I downloaded some of the score on Spotify. Right, like I was like,
of course, why wouldn't you?
It's amazing. It was so good. I was shocked though that John Murphy did the score for this. And he's amazing, right? He did the 28 Days Later, Sunshine, all that shit.
Okay, all right.
Awesome composer.
But he loves Danny Boyle work.
Yeah, it was strange that Tyler Bates didn't do it because he does all of James' movies. So I thought that was kind of strange.
Well,
I would like to know why.
Yeah, maybe it's because Tyler Bates is under contract with Marvel.
Is that a thing though?
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
Or maybe it was just fresh slate. We got DC. We got a rated R movie. Truckload of money.
Could have been.
Suicide Squad. Like,
yeah.
You know.
I was actually questioning a little bit in this movie too. Like, does James Gunn have a fetish with killing birds?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he made a point of doing it.
Like Savant straight up squashes a little birdie.
But see, what I like though is that later when Savant gets killed, the same style bird is eating him.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool.
That was
a nice
cool.
little in your face, fucker.
Yeah, and then he burnt that whole cage of birds.
Well, he didn't show that, but still, it was just.
You hear them screaming.
God damn it, man! Why would you do that?
But something clicked in my mind when you mentioned Savant after he died. The way they did the titles, like the chapter titles.
Yes.
That was cool.
That was so cool. Like the one shot where it was like the roof and it was just angled in such a way.
Jotunheim or something? What
Jotunheim.
Jotunheim. And then then the camera goes like this and you're like, oh my God, it's all different parts of the roof.
Exactly. It reminded me of like lining up that Riddler fucking thing on the side of a building.
Yeah.
So that you could scan it.
Annoying as fuck Riddler challenge.
Nigma can be like, oh, you happen to see that one. And you're like, yeah, fuck you, Nigma.
Yeah, I did that. Oh
yeah. You have to like crouch and then twist the camera. Oh man. But like even the stuff like that where you would do it with like bits of sand, blood splatters, like it's all just, and the fact that he constantly had chapters, I was like, this is crazy cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just one more thing that really added to the experience.
Yeah, exactly. And this was very much an experience. This is like, I'm super pumped that I got to see this in a theater. Granted, would have been nice to see like fucking King Kong versus Godzilla in the theater.
It fucking infuriates me that I couldn't see that on a big screen.
Oh my God. Like, and that's what I was going to say, like in terms of box office, Godzilla lucked out. Like King Kong versus Godzilla was in that nice little pocket where they were able to have people in the theaters as well as HBO Max.
Yeah.
For the most part, we couldn't because, whatever. And
we were closed down.
Probably, at this point, probably never see another movie in the theaters again. The way this Delta variant is working and the new Tetrahydra variant and whatever other
fucking
Greek word we can come up with, the Omega one. Don't want to say Omega because that's the last one.
Harley. This is my favorite version of Harley of the three movies.
100%. 100%.
A much stronger character. She is a stronger woman. The fact that she took her property of Joker tattoo and scratched out Joker and wrote no one, like the tattoo now says no one.
I thought that was a lovely touch. I was like, yeah, that's so good.
Kills the main bad guy of the movie, like shoots him in the face. You're like, oh my gosh, she's hooking up with him. And then, are you going to kill children? Boom.
Yeah.
I promised myself that if my boyfriend ever shows red flags again, I'd just do myself a favor and kill him or whatever.
I was like, man, this is so great. Like, what I like about this though is that if you've watched all of her movies, there is a progression to her character.
Yeah.
So in Suicide Squad, she's still very much like Harley Quinn, Mr. J, and even though visually it's one of the worst representations of both characters, character-wise, for the most part, not bad, actually pretty close.
Yep.
But then you see Birds of Prey. Oh, that's right. It was Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of a one Harley Quinn.
Yep.
Which again, she was like the best thing in the movie. but it's easy to be.
Yeah, that movie was disappointing. I was so psyched to see the Birds of Prey. They had such a great cast of women for Birds of Prey.
Such a great cast.
It's just like fucking hardly in it.
And there was a lot of weird design choices in that movie too. But anyway, regardless. But now you've got Harley like fresh out of this horrible, abusive, toxic relationship. So she's starting to find her way. So it actually feels fitting. Like, even though she's trying to stay on the straight and narrow, her story to get back in the Suicide Squad was easy. It was just like, just shit happens. And you're like, okay, all right. I don't need any more story. This is good enough. And then even by the end of the movie, and I don't really feel like there's a lot of character progression for her throughout the movie, but by the end of it, I'm like you said, like I'm with you where this is the best version of her. I would like to get, I think at this point, I would like to get a solo Harley movie.
Yeah, an actual solo Harley movie.
An actual solo Harley movie with Poison Ivy, okay? And even just don't even do like their first meetup or anything. Just have them established as just hanging out and doing whatever they want. Just like they did in the animated cartoon where they first started hinting that they were together.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Then I would like sort of revamp the Gotham City Sirens idea that they were going to do before Birds of Prey.
Which I thought sounded so much better than the Birds of Prey idea.
It made more sense that we talked about this in Birds of Prey. It made more sense to
way more sense.
Gotham City Sirens than it did in Birds of Prey. But anyway, not to talk about that other shitty DC movie.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree. This is the perfect version of Harley. And if we can get one more movie, even if it's in the Suicide Squad 2, I'll take it. Okay, because and even though the box office is what it is, I see no reason why this movie doesn't get a sequel.
You know what? Like, there's a lot of rumors going around right now that Warner and DC want James Gunn to do another movie. And he has said over and over and over again that his favorite part of this movie was working with Margot Robbie and that he wants nothing more than to do more Harley Quinn with her. Get him to write and direct a solo film.
If that's the case, like if they're going to say, we can't do another Suicide Squad, then I agree. 100%. Lock those two up in a room and those two will come out with a great movie.
Yeah. Give him access to Poison Ivy, maybe some more of the Batman Rogues Gallery.
Give him access to everyone.
Everything.
Anyone he wants, just say, hey, here you go. You know, maybe don't give him 175 million. Maybe don't do that.
No.
Maybe give him 125 million, maybe 150, depending on the story.
If Deadpool could get made on 70 million, then Harley can get made on 7.
Yeah, but wasn't the sequel like 150?
Yeah, and then the first was better than the sequel. So
yeah.
Money's not everything.
Although the sequel was still really good.
The sequel was good. It was just there's too much going on.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree.
It was too much. They were trying to set stuff up that won't happen now. That's what happened.
That's the part. That's the worst part where you're just like, why do this?
Yeah. So I really hope with Deadpool 3 that James Brolin returns and we can get some Thanos jokes in there.
Yeah, no kidding. That'd be awesome. That'd be so good. What else? What else have we got? I've covered the score. I've covered cinematography.
Yeah.
I've covered the fights, choreography. I've covered the story.
I want to just one more thing about Harley.
Yeah.
That whole escape sequence, how it was shot with like the Disney birds and butterflies and shit.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Gorgeous. I was like,
that was an excellent touch.
Is amazing. This is so good. It was
an excellent touch because it seems like that's how she would see it.
Yeah, she walks outside and you can still see that cartoon world in the doorway behind her and she shuts the door. It's just like, oh.
But I also liked it too because the other part, and I'm glad you mentioned this because that set up one of my favorite gags in the whole movie where they were all getting primed to save her. And I knew it too. Like the second that they were going to do it, I was like, they're not going to need to. Yeah. But they still did it anyway. Yeah. So her sequence looked incredible. It looked awesome. It reminded me of her fight sequence in Birds of Prey in the police officers area.
Yeah.
But infinitely better because that was like really good fight choreography there. The only thing that made no sense was that there were cops. They didn't use guns and they were like, no one came rushing at her, stuff like that. But overall, good choreography. This was just better. And then you meet up to that one, and it's just like, what you guys doing? Like, we're just here to rescue
And
you.
Rick turns around, he's like,
like, aw, you want me to go back in there and you guys can do it?
You want me to go back in there? I almost, for a moment there, I was like, oh man, go back in. I want to see.
Go back in, because it would have been great to see them do it. And like, just, but of course there's no point. Like, everyone's dead, right?
They have all the guards waking up and she's tied up again and be like, what?
Well, for the ones that weren't killed.
For the ones that were still, kicking.
Which are probably very few.
Yeah.
But the other thing, one of the things that I really liked was the increasing level of scale to this movie. You knew it was going to be big scale because they already showed you that Starro is big without actually showing you that he's big.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to be that big, but it makes sense because, of course, every time he's on somebody, he's draining from them. So he's eating, so he's getting bigger. So I was like, that's perfect. So when they pull out it's a goddamn fucking kaiju, I was like, yes. And I love that that's becoming like regular vernacular.
Yeah.
Now it's not like, oh, hey, it's Godzilla or King Kong. It's a fucking kaiju. And you're like, yes, that's so great.
That was another great moment too, where all of Waller's team turns on her and knocks her out so she won't kill the guys.
Well, and the thing is too, is that, like, she's a fucking prick, just out and out prick. Okay, she was a prick in the first movie. She's a prick in every single one of the comic books. Yeah. So I'm glad that they made her even more of a prick. You're not supposed to like her, and I like that they made you hate her.
Yeah.
Because like you think it's to get there to stop Starro, and then you find out no, it has nothing to do with that. It's everything about this. It's all about the evidence. We need to get all the evidence of our shady dealings with this, and then get the fuck out. And I mean, I love that they laid her out too. Fucking golf club to the head.
That was great.
And she can't even fucking fire them.
No, she did not.
That's the best part. She can't even fucking fire them. She just has to sit there in the fucking office like this, like fucking bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So good.
The whole thing, and during that whole Starro scene too, outside of Rick and Peacemaker fighting, all of it was great. Like the King Shark finding friends in the aquarium, and then
that was heartbreaking.
Attack him and stuff, and
they start trying to eat him.
Oh, I thought he was dead. I was so scared. I was like,
I thought he was dead too. I was like, oh my god, don't! You can't fucking.
If he's dead, I am mad. I am actually mad.
And then, but luckily, when they showed the bullets bouncing off him, I was like, okay, we're good.
Making the stick like Peace Walker. Or not Peace Walker, Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, and I love that. He's just like, that's so stupid. And he's like, that's actually really nice of you.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
That's actually really sweet. It's fucking stupid. It's dumb fucking. I was like, oh my god, it's so funny. This is another reason why like this character Peacemaker was so good. And I got to give props for John Cena for doing interviews in the Peacemaker suit.
All of it. Talk shows, morning shows, doesn't
and
matter.
not just the suit, but the fucking helmet too. Like he didn't even take the helmet off for these things. And it's so funny.
James Gunn, they're like, why is John Cena doing everything as Peacemaker? And he's just like, oh, John insisted that he does all these interviews in the Peacemaker costume. like he is so into the role. Like he's diving in all the way. Oh man, that's great. Oh.
And and the other thing I love about this movie is that not only did I call the javelin into the eye taking out Starro, but I also called that Peacemaker didn't die and that he was the stinger. I did for half a second. I mentioned that. I said, I guess it's a prequel. But then I was like, I bet you Peacemaker lives. And I bet you that's a stinger. As soon as you said there was a stinger, that's when I was like, it's Peacemaker.
Yeah. And I thought that's probably it. Like, I didn't think they would do a prequel for the TV series. But that the first mini stinger thing there was Weasel coming back to life. I was like, well, are they really just going to show another guy coming back to life? And they did. But
yeah, they did. But I mean, with Weasel, that was one where like I did the same thing everyone else did, where I spent the whole movie going, I bet you he's still alive. So as soon as I went to the beach, I was like, yep, he's still alive. Although,
that was funny.
Part of me, it was funny.
Weasel falls in like, anyone check to see if Weasel can swim? He's drowned. He hasn't even got to the beach yet.
That's so funny.
Oh man,
I can't remember who did the voice for that.
Oh frick!
One of the actors did the voice for him, but I can't remember who it was.
Was it Sean Gunn didn't do it?
No, he just did the motion capture.
I wonder who did the voice then. James Gunn.
I can't remember. I meant to write it down and then
I'm gonna check right now.
Yeah, you might as well just get to that now. But so overall, like I said, like this is a 4.5 Chris out of 5 movie for me. This was so good. This was so enjoyable. I liked every aspect of this movie, and I mean, like, it's one of those where, like, I can acknowledge people have to die in a movie about Task Force X, the Suicide Squad. I understand that.
Yeah.
But right, I said immediately, if it was the choice between Polka Dot Man or Ratcatcher 2, Polka Dot Man. I didn't even blink. As soon as you said Ratcatcher 2, I was like, Polka Dot Man's done. Fucking kill that guy. He is dead.
Yeah, no, I thought he had, well, I mean, his story, he told pretty much a full arc, right?
It was a full arc, but I love how you got to see his mom and everything, and then when his giant Starro mom, it's just so ridiculous. But it was so fucking funny.
Polka Dot Man, that's your mom. and then it, just a straight, like, I don't know if it's a rip or a homage, but like when Bloodsport looks over at King Shark and goes, King Shark, num num, num num, just like Cap with Hulk and Avengers, right? Hulk smash.
Well, even just like you could argue that the same thing with Cap saying like that's your mom, the same thing. You'd say the same thing. Yeah. But yeah, so like I would say more homage, but the King Shark nom nom is fucking priceless. Watching him like just mow down on Starro, and you're just like, holy shit! Or the amount of people he ate. Like that was so great. Or when he was about to eat fucking Ratcatcher 2.
Yeah. Oh my god. And she slept through the whole thing. She's like, how did you?
Like, man, that's so awesome. Or I love that really cool sequence when they're going through the jungle looking for Flag, and they take out the entire group of people, and you've got like Peacemaker and Bloodsport one-upping each other, and then they get there and like. Flag is just hanging out, chuckling. He's like, hey, what's going on, guys? And they're like, well, we're here to rescue you. It's like, so what happened to the men? We didn't see anybody.
Yeah, this post right here that Stallone put on his Instagram was great. He gave a happy birthday to James Gunn. And then he said, because of this unique movie opening at #1, it's the 6th straight decade that I will be in a #1 film. And it's all because of you, James. Like, I was like, holy
that's fuck. Insane to think about it.
6 decades years of being in #1 movie.
And every decade he's been in a #1 movie.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
I mean, it's true, right? I mean, Rocky was in the 70s. And then
Rocky was in the 70s.
Rambo was in the 80s.
I thought Rambo was late 70s.
Was First Blood late 70s or early 80s?
No, because Rocky was late 70s.
Rocky was late 70s, so...
Wasn't Rocky like 77? So I think Rambo was 81.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah, so Rambo. And then, what was in the 90s? Rambo? Rocky?
Rambo, Rocky. What else did he do in the 90s? I mean, Daylight, I think, opened pretty decent.
Daylight must have been a #1 movie.
Demolition Man. Oh, Cliffhanger.
No, that's right. Cliffhanger, Demolition Man. That's right. Yeah. Cliffhanger was the one.
In the 2000s.
Judge Dredd? Was Judge Dredd the one?
It might be.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. I like 2000s. I was thinking like, so the 2010s, he had a cameo on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So I think that.
Wouldn't the 2000s be Expendables?
Oh yeah, that's right. Expendables did open #1.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 decades of #1 movies. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, all in all, you know what I a lot of people are saying is like one of the best superhero movies out there. It's not a superhero movie. This is one of the best comic book movies out there. I'll give you that. Because these are all supervillains. And I'm going to argue semantics. I don't give a shit. But yes, this is one of the best comic book movies I've seen in a really long time.
This is, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a good year for DC, though, man. Zack Snyder's Justice League, and now this, and all the TV shows. And I mean, 1984 was disappointing, but it was a success. So, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It was disappointing, but it was a success, and good for them too. And I'm hoping, what I'm hoping for Wonder Woman 3 is more of Wonder Woman and less of Wonder Woman 84.
Yes, absolutely.
Put it in normal today's time periods, no backdoor time periods or anything like that. Just establish it, 2020, whatever, and then go on.
Don't play with the different decades. I mean, like, it made sense to have her in World War I when nothing was really going on and everything, but in the 80s, made no fucking sense. Like, everyone in the fucking world, especially when you're involving the president in the White House, like, it didn't make sense to me at all.
No, it didn't. And you know what I think I said this on our Camcast for it was, if when you got rid of the powers, if everything went back like before, then I would have said, okay, you know what? Because she put it back in the bottle and everything went back to normal, like before anything happened. You know? But they didn't. Everyone knew what they had done. Everyone knew what had happened. Everyone knew that the entire world was saved by Wonder Woman. So you're like, fuck. Like with Cheetah, you could have said, okay, everything went back to normal, but she was too far gone. Or she refused to go back to normal. She didn't want to go back to normal. So she didn't go back to normal. Right? Or she did go back to normal, but for whatever reason, she remembered. Right? Like, there's ways to write some of these characters in and out. But if they would have said, no, everything goes back the way it was, then I would have had all my major complaints would have largely been gone.
Largely would have been gone, yeah. But since that never happened, 20 years
now you watch Batman v Superman.
Wonder Woman is.
you watch Man of Steel, and you go, no one's made a reference to Wonder Woman. This makes no sense to me.
No. Oh, Batman's been doing this for what, 20 years? 20 years? He knows of Wonder Woman. He's heard of the legend of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, a group of aliens show up on Earth to terraform the entire Earth.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman doesn't really want to help out.
No.
It would have made more sense if they, like, I don't know, made her turn to stone for the entire time that she was gone, and then something happens, and then she's back, and then Batman v Superman happens, and all that other stuff. Like, hell, the Kryptonians could have been what woke her up.
Could have been.
But whatever. Regardless, we could do this all day.
Yeah, we could.
All night. And we will do this all day and all night, because Geek Pants is not going anywhere. We're only getting bigger. We're getting more subscribers by the weeks and months, but we're still getting there.
Man, we're gonna have
all because of you guys.
1,000 subscribers by the time we're 50, at least.
By the time we're 50, we'll be making money off this.
Dollar bills.
This is what you do, right? This is what you do. Make it rain. That's what they call it, right?
Make it rain.
So, well, Ken, I think it's time for you to take us out.
Take us out. Whoa! I haven't done this.
It's been a while since you've done this. Because normally I do.
I gotta get my radio voice on here. Yes.
I'll give you a minute, and I will look away so that I don't distract you.
All right. If you enjoyed this video today, you can catch our podcast, our audio-only podcast, on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can catch us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and obviously right here on YouTube if you want to see our handsome faces. Right, Chris? You don't have to look. You can just, there it is. And if you want to read stuff that we write hardly ever, except Chris Fennick, he's always writing, check us out, geekpantscamcast.com. Go check that out. Go check out that sweet, sexy site.
It's been a while since you've done this. You did good.
I did pretty good. It's been a while though. You've had a nice streak. You've had a nice streak.
Well, I started to perfect it, so I just started doing it and hammering it home. And you didn't say anything. You just let me do it. So I was like, you know what, fine. I'll just keep.
You had a fantastic streak, and then I came in like Lesnar, and I ended.
No, because I let you have it.
Oh, you let me have it.
I literally said, "You can take this one, Kenneth."
Thanks. As the Undertaker probably said before.
You know what it was? It was, I was Kevin Nash with the WCW title.
Right.
You were Hollywood Hulk Hogan with the finger poke of doom. I laid down for you. Yeah. There you go.
And Chris won't be in the next 3 episodes because he blew his quad.
Well, you gotta do something, right?
Gotta do something. Absolutely.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Pew, 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 pew,
pew, pew, pew, bang. Bang, bang.
All right, the explosion. That's right.